Welcome back to Africa Unveiled Journey. Today, we're unlocking the doors to a fascinating topic, the essence of Egypt. What's so captivating about this ancient land is not just its towering pyramids or grand temples, but how its customs and traditions have survived and evolved over thousands of years. In today's episode, we'll dive into how ancient customs still influence modern Egyptian society, and how the modern world has left its mark on this historic land. Ready? Let's get started. Egypt's ancient customs are like threads woven into the fabric of its daily life. They have their roots in an incredible civilization that began over 5,000 years ago, and yet they're still visible today in everything from family life to spiritual practices. Let's start with the role of religion. Ancient Egyptians believed that their lives were connected to the divine. The gods and goddesses they worshipped controlled everything from the flood of the Nile to the rising of the sun. Rituals were part of daily life. Offerings were made to ensure good health, prosperity, and protection. Today, while the old pantheon of gods has faded, the importance of spirituality remains deeply ingrained. Today, Islam is the dominant religion in Egypt, and the 5 daily prayers, or salat, mark the rhythm of everyday life. You'll hear the adhan, or call to prayer, echoing from mosques across Egypt, much like the rituals of ancient times marked the day for the ancient Egyptians. In both eras, spirituality remains the core of Egyptian life. Family has always been central to Egyptian culture. In ancient times, family wasn't just a social unit, it was part of the cosmic order. The ancient Egyptians had a strong belief in the afterlife, and they saw family as the key to ensuring their legacy continued for eternity. Back then, the family structure was clear. The father was the head of the household, responsible for providing for and protecting his family, while the mother managed the household and cared for the children. Sounds familiar, right? Fast forward to today, and the values are still similar. Family remains the cornerstone of Egyptian society, with extended families often living close together or under the same roof. You'll see children being raised not just by their parents, but by grandparents, aunts, uncles. Family support runs deep. Hospitable gestures are one of the most treasured customs passed down through the generations. If you're lucky enough to visit Egypt, be prepared to experience a warm welcome. Hospitality, or karam, has been an ancient tradition that continues to define Egyptian social life today. Visitors to an Egyptian home are often treated like royalty. You'll likely be offered tea or coffee as soon as you step inside. This tradition is deeply embedded in ancient customs. In ancient Egypt, welcoming strangers was considered an essential duty, as it brought blessings to the household. Modern Egyptians have continued this spirit of generosity. Chapter 4. The Nile's Lifeline, Past and Present. The Nile. This great river is not only the longest in the world, but it's also the heart and soul of Egypt. In ancient times, the Nile wasn't just a river, it was the source of life. Every year, its floods deposited fertile soil along its banks, enabling agriculture to flourish. The Egyptians even worshipped Hapi, the god of the Nile, believing the river to be a divine blessing. Even today, the Nile is vital to Egypt's economy and culture. It irrigates the fields, supplies water for millions, and serves as a major source of fish. Much like in ancient times, life along the Nile is tied to the rhythms of the river. And of course, let's not forget the role of the Nile in Egypt's thriving tourism industry. Tourists from all over the world come to sail down this historic river, taking in the same sights the pharaohs once did. Chapter 5. Festivals. The ancient celebrations live on. Egypt is a land of festivals. Whether they're rooted in ancient customs or modern religious traditions, festivals play an essential role in bringing communities together. Let's start with one that has ancient origins, Sham el-Nessim. This springtime festival dates back to pharaonic times and is still celebrated today. Egyptians mark the beginning of spring by enjoying outdoor picnics, often near the Nile, and sharing foods like fasik, which is salted fish. And here's a fun fact. Egyptians have been celebrating Sham el-Nessim since the time of the pyramids. But festivals aren't just limited to ancient traditions. One of the most important celebrations in Egypt today is Ramadan, the holy month of fasting observed by Muslims. During Ramadan, you'll see streets adorned with colorful lanterns, families gathering to break their fast, and the joyful celebrations of Eid al-Fitr that mark the end of the month. The community aspect of these celebrations, whether ancient or modern, highlights a key element of Egyptian culture: the importance of coming together as a society. Chapter 6. Modern Influences on Egyptian Culture. While Egypt has managed to preserve many of its ancient customs, it's impossible to ignore the impact of modern influences. Egypt today is a dynamic blend of tradition and modernity. One of the most noticeable changes? Technology. Egypt is one of the fastest-growing tech hubs in Africa, with young entrepreneurs leading the way. Social media has transformed how people communicate, with platforms like Facebook and Instagram playing a major role in shaping modern Egyptian life. In fact, Cairo has become a hotspot for startups and tech innovations. But even in this modern world, many Egyptians still hold on to their traditions, balancing the old and new. Chapter 7. Traditional Crafts in a Modern World. Another example of this balance can be seen in Egypt's traditional crafts. From intricately designed carpets to handcrafted pottery, these skills have been passed down for generations. Today, many young Egyptians are learning these trades, but with a modern twist. They're incorporating contemporary designs and techniques, while still respecting the traditional methods. This blend of old and new ensures that Egypt's rich artisanal heritage continues to thrive in today's world. Chapter 8. Wild Animals. From Ancient Symbolism to Modern Conservation. We can't talk about the essence of Egypt without mentioning the land's rich wildlife. In ancient times, animals played significant symbolic roles in Egyptian culture. Crocodiles were associated with the god Sobek, a symbol of power and protection, while birds like the falcon were linked to Horus, the god of kingship. Today, many of these animals are protected by conservation programs. Egypt's wildlife is a key part of its natural heritage, and efforts are being made to ensure their survival. From the deserts to the Nile Delta, the wildlife of Egypt adds to the country's diverse and beautiful landscape. From ancient rituals to modern innovations, Egypt is a land where the past and present blend seamlessly. Its customs, traditions, and modern influences all come together to create a culture like no other. We hope you've enjoyed this journey through time and that it's given you a deeper appreciation for the essence of Egypt. Thanks for joining us on this adventure. If you're eager for more deep dives into African history, culture, and travel, don't forget to subscribe to Africa Unveiled Journey. See you next time.